Today is day one for the Come Follow Me study for this week, August 26th through September 1st, the Rock of our Redeemer, Helaman 1 through 6. Monday, August 26, 2024, Helaman 1 through 2. Look for personal application. The prophet Mormon used the phrase, "thus we see," to emphasize important truths as he abridged the Book of Mormon. For example, what did he want us to see in Helaman 3, 27 through 30? As you study the scriptures, you might pause occasionally to complete the phrase, "and thus we see," regarding what you have read. President David O. McKay said about 50 years ago, Lord Balfour, Prime Minister of Great Britain, delivered a lecture in the McEwen Hall of the University of Edinburgh on the subject, "The Moral Values Which Unite the Nations." In an interesting and convincing manner, the gentleman presented four fundamental ties that unite the different nations of the world. 1. Common knowledge. 2. Common commercial interests. 3. The intercourse of diplomatic relationship. 4. The bonds of human friendship. The audience greeted his masterful address with a great outburst of applause. As the presiding officer arose to express his appreciation and that of the audience, a Japanese student who was doing graduate work at the university stood up and, leaning over the balcony, said, "But Mr. Balfour, what about Jesus Christ?" Mr. Robin E. Spear, to whom Professor Lang related this incident, writes, "One could have heard a pin drop in the hall. Everyone felt at once the justice of the rebuke. The leading statesmen of the greatest Christian empire in the world had been dealing with the different ties that are to unite mankind and had omitted the one fundamental and essential bond. And everyone felt it, too, the dramatic element in the situation. That the reminder of his forgetfulness had come from a Japanese student from a faraway non-Christian land. Nearly every thinking person believes in something or someone as the ultimate solution to his own problems. Often he sees this ultimate personal solution as also providing the solution to the problems of the world, if only all others would perceive it as he does. You may discover what he perceives the solution to be by listening to him in his unguarded moment or times when problems become troublesome. Then he may reveal the basis for his philosophy of life. Obviously, the young Japanese student saw the real solution to the ills of nations as being Jesus Christ. Many others would agree with him. One of these was Nephi, the son of Helaman. He and his brother Lehi were solid men of Christ, if only their countrymen in Zarahemla had agreed with them. Book of Helaman records both triumphs and tragedies among the Nephites and Lamanites. It begins with a serious difficulty among the people of the Nephites, and the difficulties keep coming throughout the record. Here we read about political intrigue, bands of robbers, rejection of the prophets, and pride and disbelief throughout the land. But we also find examples like Nephi and Lehi, and the more humble part of the people, who not only survived but thrived spiritually. How did they do it? How did they stay strong while their civilization began to decline and fall apart? The same way many of us stay strong in the mighty storm the devil sends to beat upon us by building our lives upon the rock of our Redeemer, who is Christ, the Son of God, a foundation whereon if men build, they cannot fall. The Book of Helaman, an account of the Nephites, their wars and contentions and their dissensions, and also the prophecies of many holy prophets, before the coming of Christ, according to the record of Helaman, who was the son of Helaman, and also according to the records of his sons, even down to the coming of Christ. And also many of the Lamanites are converted. An account of their conversion, an account of the righteousness of the Lamanites and the wickedness and abominations of the Nephites, according to the record of Helaman and his sons, even down to the coming of Christ, which is called the Book of Helaman, and so forth. As you read Helaman 1 through 6, you may notice a pattern in the behaviors of the Nephites. When they are righteous, God blesses them and they prosper. After a time, they become prideful and wicked, making choices that lead to destruction and suffering. Then they are humbled and inspired to repent, and God blesses them once again. The pattern repeats itself so often that some call it the pride cycle. Look for examples of this cycle as you read Helaman 1 through 6. God continually offers the blessings of the gospel to all people, but they must accept it of their own free will. When people accept the gospel, God is able to bless them, but when they reject it, he cannot. Helaman 1 through 4 presents a stark contrast between the fruits of good and evil. We see the results of evil upon society as well as the individual. The personal growth and blessings obtained by saints who remain faithful in challenging circumstances can provide us with courage to remain true to righteous principles during difficult times. We can contrast the discord brought by wickedness with the great peace and joy obtained by righteousness. Noting these contrasts provides motivation to chart a course based upon principles that will bring happiness and avoid the misery that comes from disobedience. Elder M. Russell Ballard of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles explained that the threat of secret combinations still exists in our day. The Book of Mormon teaches that secret combinations engaged in crime present a serious problem, not just to individuals and families, but to entire civilizations. The secret combinations of our day function more like the Gadianton robbers in the Book of Mormon times. If we are not careful, today's secret combinations can obtain power and influence just as quickly and just as completely as they did in Book of Mormon times. Do you remember the pattern? The secret combinations began among the more wicked part of society, but eventually seduced the more part of the righteous, until the whole society was polluted. The Book of Mormon teaches that the devil is the author of all sin, and the founder of these secret combinations. He uses secret combinations from generation to generation according as he can get hold upon the hearts of the children of men. His purpose is to destroy individuals, families, communities, and nations. To a degree, he was successful during Book of Mormon times, and he is having far too much success today. That's why it is so important for us as priesthood holders to take a firm stand for truth and right by doing what we can to help keep our communities safe. During the General Conference following the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, President Gordon B. Hinckley referred to terrorist organizations determined to foster murder, tyranny, fear, and wicked control. Terrorist organizations must be ferreted out and brought down. We of this nation know something of such groups. The Book of Mormon speaks of the Gadianton robbers, a vicious, oath-bound, and secret organization bent on evil and destruction. In their day, they did all in their power, by whatever means available, to bring down the church, to woo the people with sophistry, and to take control of the society. We see the same thing in the present situation. We are people of peace. We are followers of Christ, who was and is the Prince of Peace, but there are times when we must stand up for right and decency, for freedom and civilization. Just as Moroni rallied his people in his day to the defense of their wives, their children, and the cause of liberty. Chapter 1. Pahoran II becomes chief judge and is murdered by Kishkumen. Pecumeni fills the judgment seat. Coriantumr leads the Lamanite armies, takes Zarahemla, and slays Pecumeni. Moroni Ha defeats the Lamanites and retakes Zarahemla, and Coriantumr is slain. About 52 to 50 BC, Kishkumen murders Pahoran. The Book of Helaman recounts a period of great wickedness among the Nephites. The Gadianton robbers thrive, and the masses endured several cycles of wickedness and destructions, followed by repentance, only to return to wickedness. Many of these troubles could be attributed to contention that began in the first chapter of Helaman. While some people might consider contention to be a rather innocuous sin, the following general authorities have commented on the dangers of contention. President James E. Faust of the First Presidency stated in forthright terms that the Spirit of the Lord cannot abide contention. When there is contention, the Spirit of the Lord will depart, regardless of who is at fault. Elder Joseph B. Worthland of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles explained that contention is purposely fostered by Satan to serve his own evil purposes. The sins of corruption, dishonesty, strife, contention, and other evils in this world are not here by chance. They are evidences of the relentless campaign of Satan and those who follow him. He uses every tool and device available to him to deceive, confuse, and mislead. In contrast to the destructive impact of contention, President Henry B. Eyring of the First Presidency emphasized the unity of the spirit of peace. Where people have that spirit with them, we may expect harmony. The Spirit puts the testimony of truth in our hearts, which unifies those who share that testimony. The Spirit of God never generates contention. It never generates the feelings of distinctions between people which lead to strife. It leads to personal peace and a feeling of union with others. It unifies souls. A unified family and a unified church and a world at peace depend on unified souls. Helaman 1:1-12. And now behold, it came to pass, in the commencement of the 40th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi, there began to be a serious difficulty among the people of the Nephites. For behold, Pahoran had died, and gone the way of all the earth. Therefore, there began to be a serious contention concerning who should have the judgment seat among the brethren, who were the sons of Pehorn. Now these are their names, who did contend for the judgment seat, who did also cause the people to contend: Pehorn, Piankai, and Pecumni. Now these are not all the sons of Pehorn, for he had many, but these are they who did contend for the judgment seat. Therefore, they did cause 3 divisions among the people. Nevertheless, it came to pass that Pehorn was appointed by the voice of the people to be chief judge and a governor over the people of Nephi. And it came to pass that Pecumni, when he saw that he could not obtain the judgment seat, he did unite with the voice of the people. But behold, Piankai, and that part of the people that were desirous that he should be their governor, was exceedingly wroth. Therefore he was about to flatter away those people to rise up in rebellion against their brethren. And it came to pass, as he was about to do this, behold, he was taken, and was tried according to the voice of the people, and condemned unto death. For he had raised up in rebellion, and sought to destroy the liberty of the people. Now when those people who were desirous that he should be their governor saw that he was condemned unto death, therefore they were angry. And behold, they sent forth one Kishkumen, even to the judgment seat of Pehorn, and murdered Pehorn as he sat upon the judgment seat. And he was pursued by the servants of Pehorn. But behold, so speedily was the flight of Kishkumen that no man could overtake them. And he went unto those that sent him, and they all entered into a covenant, yea, swearing by their everlasting Maker, that they would tell no man that Kishkumen had murdered Pehorn. Therefore Kishkumen was not known among the people of Nephi, for he was in disguise at the time that he murdered Pehorn. And Kishkumen and his band, who had covenanted with him, did mingle themselves among the people, in a manner that they all could not be found, but as many as were found were condemned unto death. Elder Brewster McConkie said, beginning in the days of Cain and continuing through all generations, whenever there have been unrighteous and apostate peoples on earth, Satan has revealed unto them his oaths, vows, and secret combinations: murder, plunder, robbery, power, the destruction of freedom, and the persecution of the saints has been the objectives of these societies ever since. Helaman 1:13. And now behold, Pecumni was appointed according to the voice of the people to be the chief judge and the governor over the people, to reign in the stead of his brother Pehorn, and it was according to his right. And all this was done in the 40th year of the reign of the judges, and it had an end. Moroni-Ha defeats the Lamanites. Helaman 1:14-33. And it came to pass in the 41st year of the reign of the judges that the Lamanites had gathered together an innumerable army of men, and armed them with swords, and with scimitars, and with bows, and with arrows, and with headplates, and with breastplates, and with all manner of shields of every kind. And they came down again that they might pitch battle against the Nephites, and they were led by a man whose name was Coriantumr, and he was a descendant of Zarahemla, and he was a dissenter from among the Nephites, and he was a large and a mighty man. Therefore the king of the Lamanites, whose name was Tubaluth, who was the son of Amaron, supposing that Coriantumr, being a mighty man, could stand against the Nephites with his strength and also with his great wisdom, insomuch that by sending him forth he should gain power over the Nephites. Therefore he did stir them up to anger, and he did gather together his armies, and he did appoint Coriantumr to be their leader, and did cause that they should march down to the land of Zarahemla to battle against the Nephites. And it came to pass that because of so much contention and so much difficulty in the government, that they had not kept sufficient guards in the land of Zarahemla, for they had supposed that the Lamanites durst not come into the heart of their lands to attack the great city Zarahemla. But it came to pass that Coriantumr did march forth at the head of his numerous host, and came upon the inhabitants of the city, and their march was with such exceedingly great speed that there was no time for the Nephites to gather together their armies. Therefore Coriantumr did cut down the watch by the entrance of the city, and did march forth with his whole army into the city, and they did slay every one who did oppose them, insomuch that they did take possession of the whole city. And it came to pass that Pecumni, who was the chief judge, did flee before Coriantumr, even to the walls of the city. And it came to pass that Coriantumr did smite him against the wall, insomuch that he died, and thus ended the days of Pecumni. And now, when Coriantumr saw that he was in possession of the city of Zarahemla, and saw that the Nephites had fled before him, and were slain, and were taken, and were cast into prison, and that he had obtained the possession of the greatest hold in all the land, his heart took courage, insomuch that he was about to go forth against all the land. And now he did not tarry in the land of Zarahemla, but he did march forth, with a large army, even towards the city of Bountiful. For it was his determination to go forth and cut his way through with the sword, that he might obtain the north parts of the land. And, supposing that their greatest strength was in the center of the land, therefore he did march forth, giving them no time to assemble themselves together, save it were in small bodies, and in this manner they did fall upon them, and did cut them down to the earth. But behold, this march of Coriantumr through the center of the land gave Moronihah great advantage over them, notwithstanding the greatness of the number of the Nephites who were slain. For behold, Moronihah had supposed that the Lamanites durst not come into the center of the land, but that they would attack those cities round about in the borders as they had hitherto done. Therefore Moronihah had caused that their strong armies should maintain those parts round about by the borders. But behold, the Lamanites were not frightened, according to his desire, but they had come into the center of the land, and had taken the capital city, which was the city of Zarahemla, and were marching through the most capital parts of the land, slaying the people with a great slaughter, both men, women, and children, taking possession of many cities and of many strongholds. But when Moronihah had discovered this, he immediately sent forth Lehi with an army round about to head them before they should come to the land Bountiful. And thus he did, and he did head them before they came to the land Bountiful. And he gave unto them battle, insomuch that they began to retreat back towards the land of Zarahemla. And it came to pass that Moronihah did head them in their retreat, and did give unto them battle, insomuch that it became an exceedingly bloody battle. Yea, many were slain, and among the number who were slain, Coriantumr was also found. And now behold, the Lamanites could not retreat either way, neither on the north, nor on the south, nor on the east, nor on the west, for they were surrounded on every hand by the Nephites. And thus had Coriantumr plunged the Lamanites into the midst of the Nephites, insomuch that they were in the power of the Nephites, and he himself was slain, and the Lamanites did yield themselves into the hands of the Nephites. And it came to pass that Moronihah took possession of the city of Zarahemla again, and caused that the Lamanites who had been taken prisoners should depart out of the land in peace. What contrast do you note between these verses 27 and 33 in the way enemies were treated by opposing armies? What accounts for the difference? The contention of the sons of Pahorn for the judgment seat is a good example of what can happen in a democracy when men refuse to accept the will of the people. The contention of the judgment seat opened the way for much evil and eventually resulted in the downfall of the Nephite nation. Note the following points found in Helaman 1. Capital punishment was the accepted punishment for treason. Those who sought to circumvent the law for personal power were willing to resort to murder to get their way. The contention over the judgment seat gave the attacking Lamanites an advantage against the Nephites. Because the Lamanites first invaded the weaker center of the Nephite lands, Moronihah and his troops were able to surround them and compel them to surrender. As his father Moroni had done earlier, Moronihah caused that the Lamanites who had been taken prisoners should depart out of the land in peace. Helaman 1:34, and thus ended the 41st year of the reign of the judges. Chapter 2. Helaman the son of Helaman becomes chief judge. Gadianton leaves the band of Kishkumen. Helaman's servant slays Kishkumen, and the Gadianton band flees into the wilderness. About 50 to 49 BC. The demise of Kishkumen and the rise of the Gadianton band. Helaman 2:1-8. And it came to pass in the 42nd year of the reign of the judges, after Moronihah had established again peace between the Nephites and the Lamanites, behold, there was no one to fill the judgment seat. Therefore there began to be a contention again among the people concerning who should fill the judgment seat. And it came to pass that Helaman, who was the son of Helaman, was appointed to fill the judgment seat by the voice of the people. But behold, Kishkumen, who had murdered Pahorn, did lay wait to destroy Helaman also, and he was upheld by his band, who had entered into a covenant that no one should know his wickedness. For there was one Gadianton, who was exceedingly expert in many words, and also in his craft to carry out the secret work of murder and of robbery. Therefore he became the leader of the band of Kishkumen. Therefore he did flatter them, and also Kishkumen, that if they would place him in the judgment seat, he would grant unto those who belonged to his band that they should be placed in power and authority among the people. Therefore Kishkumen sought to destroy Helaman. And it came to pass, as he went forth towards the judgment seat to destroy Helaman, behold, one of the servants of Helaman, having been out by night, and having obtained through disguise a knowledge of those plans which had been laid by this band to destroy Helaman, And it came to pass that he met Kishkumen, and he gave unto him a sign. Therefore Kishkumen made known unto him the object of his desire, desiring that he would conduct him to the judgment seat, that he might murder Helaman. And when the servant of Helaman had known all the heart of Kishkumen, and how it was his object to murder, and also that it was the object of all those who belonged to his band to murder and to rob and to gain power, and this was their secret plan and their combination, the servant of Helaman said unto Kishkumen, Let us go forth unto the judgment seat. What were the objectives of the secret combinations? Helaman 2, 9 through 12. Now this did please Kishkumen exceedingly, for he did suppose that he should accomplish his design. But behold, the servant of Helaman, as they were going forth unto the judgment seat, did stab Kishkumen even to the heart, that he fell dead without a groan. And he ran and told Helaman all the things which he had seen and heard and done. And it came to pass that Helaman did send forth to take this band of robbers and secret murderers, that they might be executed according to the law. But behold, when Gadianton had found that Kishkumen did not return, he feared lest that he should be destroyed. Therefore he caused that his band should follow him. And they took their flight out of the land by a secret way into the wilderness. And thus when Helaman sent forth to take them, they could nowhere be found. And more of this Gadianton shall be spoken hereafter. The introduction of the band of Gadianton, also known as the Gadianton robbers, would indicate that this group was organized by Kishkumen. However, upon the death of Kishkumen, Gadianton was the exceeding expert in many words and also in his craft to carry on the secret work of murder and of robbery, became the leader of the band of Kishkumen. Gadianton then led his followers into the wilderness, and they were not mentioned again in the record for several years. But as Mormon promised, more of this Gadianton shall be spoken hereafter. Helaman 2:12 continued through 14. And thus ended the 42nd year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi. And behold, in the end of this book ye shall see that this Gadianton did prove the overthrow, yea, almost the entire destruction of the people of Nephi. Behold, I do not mean the end of the book of Helaman, but I mean the end of the book of Nephi, for which I have taken all the account which I have written. Consider Mormon's comments on the effect that the secret combinations had upon the Nephite civilization. At this point, in finalizing his comment regarding Gadianton and his band, Mormon gives us a preview of other things. In the end of this book, ye shall see that this Gadianton did prove the overthrow, yea, almost the entire destruction of the people of Nephi. Mormon explains that he means the end of the Book of Mormon, and not the end of the Book of Nephi. This is quite a comment for the historian of 1,000 years of Nephite history to make. Compare this with the comment by Moroni that secret combinations have caused the destruction of his people, of whom I am now speaking, the Jaredites, and also does the destruction of the people of Nephi.